Today we're going to be reviewing solving inequalities, and our essential question is, how do you solve inequalities? Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and talk about the steps to solve. And so the first step is going to be get the variable by itself. And in the process of getting the variable by itself, if you divide or multiply by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So if you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, you have to flip the sign. Okay, so if it starts out as a greater than, and you divide by a negative, you have to switch that greater than to a less than. Okay. The next thing is check the order of your answer. So once you have your x by itself, and it's like x is equal to a number, you have to make sure that x is in the first. It's in the first section. So first, it has to be your variable, whether it's an x, a y, or a t, or whatever variable you have. In the middle part of your answer, you should have your inequality. Okay, and we have 4 inequalities: greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And then the last thing in your answer should be the actual number of what your variable is equal to, or less than, or whatever inequality it is. Okay, so let's do some examples. So for the first example, let's say we have x divided by 4 minus 3 is less than 6. So we're going to just simply do the same thing that we've been doing, just solving equations, but there's a few things that we have to look out for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my step. I need to get this negative 3 to the other side, so I'm going to add 3 because that's the inverse of subtraction, right? So we would have x over 4. This cancels out. My sign, I did not divide by a negative, so it's going to stay the same. And then we can do 6 plus 3. That is 9. Okay. Now we have to get rid of this 4. So to get rid of that 4 is being divided. So the inverse, or the opposite of dividing, is multiplying. So I can multiply by 4. Right. So when I do that, my 4's cancel out on the left side. I am multiplying, but I'm not multiplying by negative, so my sign still stays the same. Okay, and then we can say, what's 9 times 4? That is 36. Okay, I want to check my answer. My check is variable, my inequality, and then my answer, so I know that's correct, and that's going to be my answer. Okay, so all x can be anything that is less than 36. Let's look at example number 2. Let's say we have negative 2x plus 5 is less than or equal to 11. Okay, so for my first step, I'm going to get rid of this plus 5 by doing the opposite of plus 5, which is minus 5. So we got negative 2x. This cancels out to a 0. I haven't done anything with a negative like divide or multiply, so I'm just going to keep it as it is. And then 11 minus 5 is going to be 6. Okay. Now we have this negative 2, and it's being multiplied to the x. So here I am going to be dividing by negative 2, right? But this is an alert, right? I'm going to put like a little exclamation mark. Why is it like a little exclamation mark? Because I am dividing by a negative. So because I divide by a negative, my sign is going to change when I rewrite this. So my negative 2 cancels out. I did divide by a negative, so I'm not going to put greater than. Sorry, I'm not going to put less than. I'm going to change it to a greater than or equal to. Right? And I did that because I divided by this negative 2. Okay. And then 6 divided by negative 2 is going to be a negative 3. Okay. Now, it's in the correct position, so variable inequality number. So that is going to be my answer. So x can be negative 3. It can be anything greater than negative 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3, all those numbers are greater than negative 3 and 3. let's look at example number 3. We're halfway there. Okay. Let's say we have, let me circle it. Negative 6 is greater than 4x minus 14. Okay. So here the x is on this side, but let's just hold off and just let's see if we can solve this out first. Okay. So let's see. There's two ways you can do it. You can leave the x over there, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there so that way you know what you have to do in order to get the right answer. So I'm gonna leave it there and take care of this negative 14. So I'm gonna plus 14 on both sides. Okay. And then I should get 8 is greater than 4x, right? Because this cancels out. And then my next step will be to divide by a 4. Right? So my answer would be 2 is greater than x because the 4 cancels out. Okay? But this is not in the correct way for your answer to be. Remember, it has to be the variable, the whatever the inequality is, right? It can be any of these, and then your answer, right? It has to be in that order. If it's not in that order, just like this, it has the answer and then the x, this is what you have to do. You have to switch the two things, and then the sign just flips. And then this would be your answer because that is in the correct way that you should read it. So it says x is less than 2. Okay. And so let's see if you don't do that, let's say you want to change the x already to the left side and you want to do it that way. Let's say we have negative 6. We're going to do this all over. You can just move the 4x on the other side the first thing that you do. So we can subtract 4x, and so that means here we have negative 4x minus 6 is greater than negative 14. And then we can do the rest the way we are used to do it. So we would add 6. Right, so that's negative 4x. That cancels out. We got, let's see. Negative 8. And then the next step, let's do divide by negative 4. So here I am dividing by negative 4, so I do have to switch the sign. And then this would be a positive 2. Do you see how we get the same answer, right? So it doesn't matter which way you do it, you're still going to get the same answer. But if you do decide to do it this way, like the first way that we did it, you have to switch to where the x is first, your inequality, and then your answer. Okay. In our last example, let's do example number 4. We got negative 5 is less than negative 3 over 2x plus 1. And so again, this is a thing where here's your x. It has to be on the other side, so you can do it either way. You can wait until the last minute and switch your answers up, or you can already put your negative 3 over 2x to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and do it at the end now. Okay, and then I'll go back and do it the other way too. Okay, so first I'm going to subtract 1. I get negative 6 is less than negative 3 over 2x. That cancels out. And then my next step, this negative 3 over 2 is being multiplied to the x. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 3 over 2 on both sides. And that's a fraction within a fraction. And then so in the calculator, if you put negative 6 divided by the fraction negative 3 over 2, you should get 4. I did divide by negative, right? So I have to switch my sign. And then the fractions over here cancel out, okay? But remember, the x has to be first. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the x and the 4. And then when I do that, my sign changes to the other side. Okay, so here x is less than 4. Okay, let me do it the other way. If you decided to do it the other way, with a negative 5 is less than negative 3 over 2x plus 1. So I'm going to move this negative 3 over 2x on the other side. Since it's minus, I'm going to go ahead and add 3 over 2x. Right, so I can't do the negative 5 and the 3 over 2 because the 5 doesn't have the x, so I'm just going to keep them separate. There we go. And then let's go ahead and add 5 on both sides. So we get 3 over 2x is less than 6. And then our last step is to divide by 3 over 2. So our answer is x is less than 4. Again, you get the same answer. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Just pick a way and pick your favorite way, and then keep doing that for the rest of the unit, okay?